Welcome back to Wheel Reverend. The world of motorcycles is often divided between those who celebrate the raw, mechanical charm of the past and those who embrace the digital, connected, electric future. Royal Enfield has always lived somewhere in the first camp, priding itself on character and tradition, but the Flying Flea C6 marks a turning point, a daring move into the future while keeping both feet firmly planted in its history. This is more than just an electric motorcycle, it is a statement, a design philosophy in motion, and a reminder that heritage and innovation can coexist in harmony. When you first look at the Flying Flea C6, you don't immediately think electric. Instead, you're greeted by a shape that feels familiar and almost comforting. The teardrop tank, the slender stance, and the unusual girder-style fork feel like something pulled straight from a black and white photograph of the 1940s. Yet, under that nostalgia is a thoroughly modern machine. The forged aluminum frame glistens with a mix of utility and art history. Every angle feels intentional, like the designers wanted this to be not just a vehicle, but a conversation starter. And it works. Riders, enthusiasts, or just people passing on the street will notice something different here. It's not bulky like some electrics, not minimalist like a stripped-down commuter. It's somewhere in between, a balance of retro aesthetics and futuristic use. The Flying Flea name itself is legendary. During World War II, lightweight Royal Enfields were parachuted behind enemy lines, dropped in wooden crates, and ridden by dispatch riders and soldiers across unforgiving terrain. The C6 borrows that wartime spirit of toughness and portability but channels it into modern urban landscapes. Imagine a bike light enough to weave effortlessly through narrow city lanes, yet packed with enough intelligence to rival a smartphone. This is a two-wheeler born from the past but designed for tomorrow's challenges. Underneath the full-fuel tank lies the real heart of this electric rebel, a magnesium-clad battery pack. Instead of hiding it, Royal Enfield celebrates it. The casing is ribbed with cooling fins, giving both a functional purpose, a passive heat dissipation, and an industrial, sculptural appeal. It's not just a battery, it looks like a piece of art. The vehicle control unit that sits alongside it is another highlight. With it, the Flying Flea C6 unlocks a mind-boggling 200,000 possible riding combinations. That sounds excessive until you realize what it means in practice. You can alter throttle sensitivity, regenerative braking strength, ride comfort, performance mapping, even the sound profile of your ride if you want feedback. You don't have to settle for a one-size-fits-all mode. You can craft the experience exactly the way you want it. The control of this customization comes through a circular TFT display nestled neatly in the cockpit. At first glance, it looks like an old-school analog dial, but light it up, and it transforms into a digital command center. From navigation to ride analytics, Bluetooth notifications to system health checks, it does everything with an understated elegance. Riders who crave connectivity will appreciate the smartphone pairing and app support, which allows fine-tuning of settings or simply displaying calls and messages on the dash. For those who just want to ride, it can be left in its simplest state. How classic, clean, minimal. Performance expectations for the C6 are deliberately modest, because Royal Enfield isn't trying to make a supersport electric monster. Think of it instead as the electric equivalent of a 125 to 150cc motorcycle. That means zippy acceleration perfect for the city, enough torque to make traffic light getaways fun, and nimbleness for tight spaces. It's not the bike meant for 200-kilometer highway rides at triple-digit speeds. Instead, it's designed for urban commutes, short weekend joyrides, and everything in between. That design choice aligns with Royal Enfield's vision: create an app that isn't intimidating, one that feels approachable, both in price and in usability. The suspension setup plays a huge role in defining the character. The girder fork isn't just retro-inspired, it's a genuine engineering decision. Combined with the monoshock rear, it delivers a balance of rigidity and comfort. The lightweight forged aluminum construction reduces unsprung mass, making steering light and confidence-inspiring. Add to this disc brakes front and rear, with cornering-sensitive ABS, and you have a bike that feels secure even when pushed harder than you'd expect from an EV commuter. And then comes the electronics package. This is where the C6 quietly impresses. Cruise control, something almost unheard of at this segment, is standard. Traction control keeps the rear wheel in check when the torque surge kicks in. Regenerative braking is fully tunably set at high for maximum energy recovery in city stop-and-go traffic, or tone it down for a free-rolling, coast-like feel on longer rides. Keyless ignition makes hopping on and off effortless, and the bike's security suite includes geofencing and app-based alerts, a nod to modern ownership expectations. Range figures haven't been firmly locked in by Royal Enfield, but it's safe to expect something suited for the urban commuter. We're likely talking about a real-world range between 120 and 150 kilometers, enough for several days of city riding before you even think about plugging in. Charging will support both household plugs and faster chargers, with overnight top-ups making ownership easy. For most riders, that range will be more than sufficient, especially when paired with the app's smart battery management and predictive analytics. Now, let's talk price. This is where the Flying Flea C6 positions itself interestingly. In India, projections place it around 2.5 to 3 lakh rupees, ex-showroom. That's competitive for a stylish electric motorcycle, but it's not bargain basement cheap either. It sits above entry-level EVs, but well below premium European electrics, making it accessible yet aspirational. Internationally, prices are expected to hover under €7,000, translating to around $7,500 to $8,000. That's not a commuter's price tag, it's a statement price. You're not just buying transport, you're buying a piece of history wrapped in tomorrow's tech. What makes the C6 truly unique is how unapologetically Royal Enfield it feels. Many manufacturers launching EVs go for futuristic, almost sci-fi designs, but Royal Enfield decided to remind everyone of its heritage while moving forward. That choice is brave because it risks alienating those who think electric bikes should look radically different. Instead, what you get here is familiarity blended with novelty, a bike that carries a soul instead of just circuits. Riders who once swore by the thump of an Enfield single might look at this and feel skeptical. But when they ride it, they'll realize the thump has been replaced by something else: instant torque, smooth delivery, and a silence that amplifies the world around you. Imagine cruising through the city early in the morning. No engine vibration, no exhaust note, just the faint hum of the electric motor and the sound of your tires gliding across tarmac. You glance down at the TFT, the round dial glowing softly, showing you your range and route. Traffic builds ahead, but the Flea's agility lets you slip past with ease. At the next light, a commuter bike revs next to you, its exhaust coughing as the rider looks over. The light goes green, you twist, silently surge forward, and you're gone. That's the kind of everyday theater the C6 enables. It's not about top speed numbers, it's about feel, about how every ride becomes an experience. Royal Enfield is known for building motorcycles that people develop relationships with. The Flying Flea C6 is positioned to do exactly that, but in a new way. For new riders, it's approachably lightweight, unintimidating, yet packed with tech. For seasoned Enfield fans, it's a nod to the past, an homage to the legend of the original Flying Flea. And for the EV curious, it's proof that electric bikes can have personality, soul, and character, not just silent efficiency. So, is this bike perfect? Of course not. Long-distance tourers may find the range limited. Riders chasing high top speeds or hardcore performance may want more. And for purists who crave the exhaust rumble of a bullet, silence may never be enough. But that's not the mission of this machine. Its mission is to carve a niche, to be the stylish, soulful, everyday urban electric motorcycle that bridges generations. When the Royal Enfield Flying Flea C6 hits the streets in early 2026, it won't just be another addition to the EV market. It'll be a turning point, the start of a new chapter for the company and possibly a gateway for thousands of riders into the world of electric mobility. It asks you to imagine a future that doesn't erase the past, but instead carries it forward with respect. And that is why the spike matters so much. Because sometimes, the most revolutionary move isn't breaking from tradition, it's carrying tradition into the revolution. And that's what the Flying Flea C6 is, a revolution, with roots.